Hi, it's Dawn from Dawn's Dirt. Dirt can mean gardening, dirt can mean milk cows, dirt can mean chickens, dirt can mean sourdough bread. It can also mean politics and religion. And so on today's episode, I'm here with my friend VJ, and we are here to talk about a crazy subject, but one that is near and dear to my heart because it hits my story hard, my personal story hard, VJ, about porn and men. So welcome here, VJ. Thanks so much for being here. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? And you are an online coach, and a little bit about your coaching program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Don. So what is good, everybody? My name is VJ Maharaj. I recently just started a coaching business around helping men not only quit porn for good, but to help them regain the mental clarity and freedom they need to realign themselves with the true essence of who they know themselves to be. Before I started getting into this niche in this program, I am a musician in my personal life. I also have been working for Canada Post, and I'm looking to completely abandon that and make a profound difference in the world because it's definitely needed now more than ever. And a big part of my life since I started just on this uphill inclination of wanting to do better for myself is also wanting to help others do better and show them what I'm connected to. And I feel like definitely engaging in too much porn, it sends us on a detour of our life path and who we know ourselves to be. And just, I've come to understand this niche and so like how it distracts us and it disrupts our life flow in so many different ways. And since I've been like debunking it, I can feel like, just like the magic of my life again, you know? So this is something I'm very passionate to help men get over and apply this to their lives and ultimately take back the life and claim the life that they know them, that they deserve to live.
Hey, so I love it. I love it. I am not a porn fan. Porn killed my marriage, or was one of the big factors in why I'm not married anymore. I was married for 16 years and yeah, porn killed it. So I'm going to ask you a very personal question. So were you addicted to porn or using porn, and then you realized that it was a big problem in your life, and then now you have stopped? And now you want to help others claim victory over porn addiction and porn things. That's so personal. But I think you as a man, just opening up yourself could help so many people. So that's my question.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, okay, getting into this topic, I'm gonna answer a lot of personal questions, so it's no problem whatsoever. To be honest, no, I don't think I was like addicted to porn. I definitely knew I had a high sex drive and like a high sexual energy. And sexual energy is also linked to our creative energy. I'm a musician, right? So that's where it would come from for me. And you know, it's interesting because I've really had to actually just go back in my past and actually do a whole timeline thing to like really understand the scope of this. It's not so much I've been addicted to porn. I would watch it, you know, whenever I was bored, I guess. And not only that, it was just also something to help me fall asleep. But, you know, it's like a crutch when you're relying on something to help you give you a sense of relief or to pass out. You really don't really realize what it does to you in the background. And if anything, it's not so much I've had a porn addiction. I've been engaging in it too much, like way too much, to the extent where like, you know, if I was ever dating someone, you know, like the sexual chemistry would have to be this extraordinary, like, you know, R-rated thing for me to engage it. And I knew as I grew up, like my body chemistry was changing. And there have been a couple of times where I would watch a video and help me fall asleep. And all of a sudden it's just like my system is getting ramped up way too fast. You know, it's not being naturally stimulated. And there's been some times where I've watched a video and like after I've completed, my body would literally tell me like, you shouldn't have done that. Like I felt like almost like a sting in my system. You know what I mean? And I think once I started paying attention to that, honestly, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, once I started paying attention to like my body telling me like it's through giving me those pains, I'm like, okay, there is something I need to recalculate here and need to bring awareness to.
Yeah, you know, you touched on something just earlier when you were talking here. about porn addiction, using it as a tool, right? And using it as so some people drink excessively to fall asleep or whatever it might be. Some people, I am a workaholic or have been a workaholic in my life to offset different things in my life. And so I like how you, not normalized it, but really put the human touch on it, that we all have issues and we all have things that we struggle with, and porn just could be one for some people. So yeah, that spoke to me actually just now when you said that, is that, it's a tool and it's, replacing something. And I like how you're talking about getting to the roots of things. And then I liked how you were speaking about the relationship side of it. You spoke to, if you were to have a relationship with a woman, how it would change things. And I've heard too that when a man uses porn, he's kind of got these images and things in his brain, and that's what he's needs to do things. I don't know. I don't want to get too graphic on him, but to help himself. And so in a relationship, sometimes those expectations and those things aren't realistic and aren't, porn is very dramatized and and it's fake. And so when we're taking these fake images, these fake expectations, these fake things, and turning it around and putting it into a real life relationship, that's a problem. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it's, it's not just AI, which like it's artificial intelligence. It's also like, I call it artificial intimacy, which is exactly what it is, And I think, when men watch these videos and then, they get a feel for what they're attracted to. And, by the time they go into a relationship, they have this sexual expectation for their partner to be a certain way, to be like extra dirty, and you're not really appreciating the woman as she is. You know what I mean? And if men truly genuinely do care about their partner, they'll accept them as who they are. And if they ever want to experiment, like it's, you just ask the question, and then that's how communication kind of breaks down, because you want to experience something more engaging and a little bit more intimate and a little bit nasty to say, sorry, but like, it's just that, but they don't ask the questions, and that's how communication breaks down. And I think like also like hiding that away from men hiding that away from partners, thinking they can get away with it. And it's just like, they know they engaged in it, and I think it's also a segue into hiding other things from partners too. I'll be blunt and honest, like I'm currently dating someone right now, and I told her like the business that I'm getting into, and for research purposes, I've had to watch some videos to understand I've recently had to watch some videos. I've had to go onto the websites that I'm familiar with, search up the videos I used to watch, because I believe there are versions of me and power that I've given away to these videos that I need to rewatch and reclaim. And even though I was watching this for my own purposes, educational purposes, I'm still watching other naked women, even though I'm in a relationship. And I actually told this to her last night. I'm like, listen, I have to tell you this. Like, I may be doing it for educational purposes, but I don't want to be a man that's going to hold even a little secret like this from you. I've had to do this, and I couldn't keep it from you. And my heart went through so many palpitations of like just feeling vulnerability and feeling ashamed. And gratefully, she understood where I was coming from and why I was doing it. And she was completely understanding of the situation. And I had a mini cry in her arms, you know what I mean? But like, it's that lack of trust and vulnerability that I feel like lots of men are afraid to feel. And of course, when you have to talk about uncomfortable things like that, yeah, your vocal cords and your heart, they go through all of these uncomfortable, movements and like stagnations to speak out that truth. But I feel so much better that I was able to communicate that to her, Are
you ready to take control of your food freedom and become ungovernable? Do you remember toilet paper wars in 2020? Do you have a plan? If your finances get so tight and you're having to choose between paying your rent or your mortgage and food for your family, have you bought land recently and you just don't even know where to start and you want to grow vegetables for yourself and your community? I'm Dawn, and I'm a food freedom coach. I can teach you the skills to live and eat like grandma did. From growing a garden to raising animals and having meat for your table, no matter the size of space you have, big or small. Planning for year-round survival, including canning and preserving and sourdough and cooking from scratch and just planning ahead. A larger homestead or space, and you just want to make some side income from the space you have. I care so much about people, walking with them step by step to become ungovernable, self-reliant, and able to feed themselves. I was a vegetable farmer, and I fed up to 100,000 people per year. I've had chickens, meat chickens, cows, sheep, and pigs. I know what it takes to cook from scratch and live like Grandma did, and just being thrifty in the way you do your food system. If you want to save money and take your food freedom into your own hands, let's book a free jumpstart call with me, and we can work together to learn how. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I appreciate that. I like that. And it is the openness and the transparency and the talking about it. So I'm from a very religious, I'm from a Christian background. I was raised in a church. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I was in a quote unquote Christian marriage. And porn is one of those things that you can hide it under a bowl because it's not out there. With alcoholism, it's out there. If you're drunk, people are unless you're home by yourself, people are going to figure it out. Whereas with porn, it's kind of behind closed doors. You can hide it behind a bowl. You can hide it, but it comes out and it creeps out in different areas. And I found that with my marriage, like there was no intimacy, right? There was no hugs and kisses and touches and the preemptive things that come before you have sex. There was none of that in my marriage. And so it's because things were dealt with behind closed doors. And porn, I think we need to crack this wide open on pornography that, we need to realize that so many people, men and women, struggle with pornography and that it just changes you. And it's one of those things that you can shamefully hide behind closed doors and not have to spill it out and not have to show how hard it is. Or if you're actually struggling, it's one of the things you can hide so well for so long until it creeps into, and it's back to secrets, like you were talking about, secrets within a relationship. And I believe that sex is within, a man and woman and within marriage. So how it creeps into that and how it really can do damaging things to the intimacy, the relationship, the back and forth within that union of two people. So yeah, that's why I have you on here, is because this is such a hot subject that not a lot of people will talk about, but I'm here to talk about it because we as a society need help with this. And so thanks for being here. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I appreciate you. Well, I really do appreciate you, handing me basically this niche to kind of take with it and run, because I've come to understand it in such a way where I don't feel embarrassed talking about it. I've been able to dissect this and understand it in my own way in so many different ways. To be a little bit more honest on just a little personal thing with me. I don't as much anymore, but I did like to smoke marijuana from time to time. And mostly just for creative purposes, making music and such. But then your thoughts kind of go in other places, in other dimensions where, you never would be able to if you were sober. And when it crossed over the threshold of understanding porn addiction, and there is definitely a spiritual aspect to it. Because if you think about it, the way I was born, the way you were born was between the union of a man and wife coming together in that act. And now the very thing that gives life and that's supposed to be made purely out of deep love has been turned into mass production of videos for pleasure, where these websites are making money, and it's they're pulling in all of this energy from both men and women to distract them. And the thing is, when you can harness your sexual energy, and when you can let it you don't have to expel it, when you can find different ways to guide it and to infuse it into your body, it can be your guide to propelling you forward and either getting into different, business relationships, meaningful partnerships. And I've now that I've been practicing it, I'm feeling it again, and it's an invigorating feeling. And it's just, this is why, I think it's important for people to, in my program, got to put them through porn tests. So I'm it's not going to just be you can quit cold turkey and then you're done. No, you have to test yourself. You really have to go back to these websites, visit what you saw, and reclaim what you've given away. And my analogy for this is like, it's like a sword. Like how are swords made? You know what I mean? They're not just a piece of metal that's cut and then all of a sudden you have a sword. They're heated, they're hammered, and they're cooled until finally they're somewhat indestructible to go to war. And I think that's what's necessary for like our souls, because our souls are so damaged from engaging in too much porn. It's a sacred energy exchange that has been, it's definitely needed. Absolutely, it's definitely needed. I've seen some podcasts of people who are basically kind of on top of how like this isn't being talked about nearly enough. And I don't think like to actually go deep into it and to understand where it comes from, not so much where it comes from, but what was our origins in watching porn. You know, there's nobody talking about it to an extent where people can break it down and understand. And it's definitely needed. Since I've been posting videos on my Instagram about it, I've had people, men and women, reach out just saying, thank you so much for bringing awareness to this. And that hits me in the heart every time. You know what I mean? And it's to make a profound difference, like for other people by talking about something I know I have experience in. Yeah, it makes me feel real good because like, you know, at some point, what are we doing here if we're not trying to make the world a better place?
Absolutely. And that's why I've been drawn to you. We're in the same coaching program with Killer Bets, and we're in the same coaching program. And as soon as I heard your niche, I was just drawn to, yes, we need more men and women, but standing up against this epidemic, really, of taking relationship and taking and really, in some ways, I'm sorry, perverting it into something that it's not. So from my background, like biblically speaking, sex is a union between two people. You are giving of one another to each other, and that's a union, and you become one with that person. And when you're just giving it away or, you know, not focusing on the relationship behind it, it really is quite damaging to you as a person, as an individual. And that's going to come out in all areas of your life, like you were saying. And yeah, like because you can hide it behind closed doors, because it's not being talked about, because you can make money off of it. You hear these things of like that woman, I heard something that she had sex with like 1,000 guys, like gross. Like I feel sadness for that woman that she would give of her body and give herself just so freely like that for what? Like, I just feel sad for her, and I want to hug her and love her and say, like, lady, like, you don't need to do this. This is not how you were created. This is not how you were made, you know? For men too, right? Like those men that would have, you know, done that. I just feel sad for them that they would just, you know, engage in that. And what are they thinking about themselves? That's really what it comes down to. When you're not thinking well enough about yourself and that you're engaging in these things to try and fill a hole or fill a void, like that's, I feel sad for people that do this. Not condemnation, not judgment, just love and sadness. And how can I help? And I just love that you're focusing your coaching program on helping people and serving people and helping people become victors over this addiction.
Hey, thank you for that. And something you said that I wanted to brush up on where people are using it to fill a void. Honestly, it took, I'm 34 now, but it took my most recent relationship about a year ago to actually fill in that void. Like, why is it that I like, and you know, I'm sure you're familiar with the love languages, right? There's physical touch, quality time, gift giving. Like physical touch was always number one for me. And it took this recent relationship for me to actually understand why that is. And once I actually started doing the digging and actually going back, and I'm like, ooh, yep, there it is. And one of which was, it was a pain point from an earlier moment in my childhood. I won't go too much into detail with it, but it happened with some family members, let's say. And like an incident kind of like, I felt like I was like knocked out of my consciousness for a little bit. And this happened around when I was like, I think 4 or 5 years old. Had a situation, just felt like very alienated out of my body. Like I knew, like I can recall it right now. I knew I was still in my body, but like I was like, my soul was just fragmented. And it was like a numbness. And, you know, I remember I was going to tell my mom what had happened because, you know, what do we do when we have a boo-boo? We go to mom, right? She makes it better. And I couldn't even communicate that to my mom at the time. And the only thing that kind of like made me feel better, because I had that for a little bit. The only thing that made me feel better was when I stumbled on this movie, and it was called Striptease with Demi Moore. And that was the first time like I saw a naked woman. All I knew was that kind of just like reshifted everything. It kind of gave me like, it kind of like made me feel better. I saw a naked woman. I felt better. I couldn't understand what it did. And then by the time I actually started dating women in high school, I didn't know how to communicate to women. All I knew how to do was to communicate through kissing. And, you know, when there was like actual conversation and dialogue, I didn't know how to talk because I was so paralyzed and stunned from what happened to me as a child that I didn't know how to properly listen. I didn't know how to properly like find the balance in conversation. And that ties into other things because as you're learning as a young man to date, you're only fishing for what you like and what you can get out of the situation. And that's always something I was hunting for. It wasn't about like the connection. It wasn't about the intellectual connection. For me, I was mostly into it for the physical intimacy. And it literally took my last relationship to really fill in that missing puzzle piece. And once I did, it explained everything all at once.
Yeah, I like that part about love languages because love languages, I've been dating, right? I've been single for 6 years now. I've been dating with different men and I'll ask them what their love language is. And a lot of them will say physical touch because they just I think they equate physical touch with sex, but they're not the same thing. A love language is how it feeds your cup. And while you are touching when you're engaging in sexual activity, like it's not the same thing as that, you know, like emotional attachment. And so, yeah, those two things are very different. And with yourself as well, like seeing an image at 4 or 5 or 6, whatever you saw the image at, that's kind of where you're getting that almost imprinting of, and that's kind of where you're starting to wire your sexuality, I guess, is with those first images and the first things you see. And so, yeah, if you're getting those images, you know, young men or young women from pornography, what it's doing is it's wiring your brain towards that and not actually the emotional, spiritual connection that's needed and healthy in a sexual relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like again, there's so many things this ties into because like you know, like I imagine like, you know, when you're dating someone, you want to go on adventures with them. You know what I mean? You want to be able to go out, have an epic walk outside, go-karting, mini golf, you know what I mean? And it's those things that kind of like make you feel young again. It's also experiencing that. And then, you know, when men watch porn for whatever reasons, like think of it this way, like when people are together, and when they're in that act, there's like a whole mess of chemistry and energy that's being projected. I have a phone because I'm using the tethering for my internet. Like basically, like when you're doing it like that, like all the energy that you express and you expel when you're stimulated, that phone just sucks it all in and you have nobody to catch you afterwards. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the sting comes because you give. And then what do you receive after? Nothing. That phone just sucked all the energy that you've given. And now you're kind of feeling like stale.
Yeah, because there's no relationship afterwards. It's just, that's it. And that's you. And that's all. And, you know, there's no give and take. There's just an act, really. It's not a relationship. It's an act. And yeah, I forget where I was going. We'll edit this out. Just the act. Yeah, I forget where I was going with that.
Okay,
I got that.
Yeah, no, I still got more thoughts to it, honestly. Like, and I think it distracts so many things, like the vision. Like, you know, if you imagine like your life going a certain way, that's like, what is it? It's like clairvoyance, or almost like we all have powerful imagination, and when it's being used in a different way, it disrupts everything. So we like men growing up, if they're not where they want to be. Speaking from experience, if they are not where they want to be, it's because they've alienated themselves for their true purpose, or they don't have the vitality and that, pardon my language, but that fuck yeah, feel good energy about life again. And when you can feel that, it's like, my goodness, it's like every day is a blessing and you can see it. And I'm also speaking from experience because I was there. And I think me like engaging in too much porn is definitely a culprit for it, because all the time where I could have like been spending that energy in either making music, maybe starting an online business sooner, or putting it into other hobbies, it's the same energy that we expel when orgasm. It's the exact same thing. It's become a filthy, self-defeating habit in so many different ways, not just like for the the natural flow of your body, but the natural flow that life communicates to you that you won't be able to feel. Like, picture it this way, like walking through a forest, and if you can't appreciate the beauty of nature again, that's bad. That's really bad, because that is more therapeutic than anything I can and that can come to mind right now.
Yeah. I know what I was thinking before. That brings me to the addiction side of it. So addiction, by definition, I don't know the real definition, but when you have addiction to anything, what it does is it distracts you from the rest of your life, and it takes away from the rest of your life, and it hurts you in a negative way. I used to do farmers markets, and I pulled into a parking lot. I was the first one there, and there was this lone truck sitting in the corner of the parking lot. And, I walked over and I went to go say hello because I'm chatty Cathy and I'm just like that. And there was this man sitting in this truck in a parking lot by himself in the middle of the day with his phone, with his, and I just think how sad that you can't even make it through a day. And it's affecting his life, I'm sure. I can't even imagine the shame and the guilt and the whatever. I'm a woman. I walked up on this truck and here he is doing what he's doing in the middle of the day, distracting from his life, really. Like, I want to encourage people. And that's why I have you here, is I want to encourage people, just come forward, just drop the shame and the guilt, because there's so many people out there that struggle with this. Just open yourself up. Just talk to a friend. Just reach out to my friend VJ, and, let's start having these real, authentic conversations, and let's stop hiding behind these walls with our addictions, men and women, and just, laying it out on the table and building back community and healthy relationship, just with friends, even, to say, hey, I've got this struggle and can you help me? That's what we need, is we need to stop letting it control our lives, and we need to start building back community to say, like, it's okay. I was raised in the church, like I've said a few times, and it's one of those things that it's so shameful that people really want to hide it. And I just think freedom comes in when you don't hide it, when you spill it all out, when you say, hey, I have this problem. Can you come alongside me? And when we come, just like Jesus did, when we come alongside someone in love, like, how can we love you? How can we support you? And how can we get you through that? And that's how I see you. You're helping men get through this. And what a noble, authentic, genuine cause. It's why I'm your biggest fan, VJ. Honestly, like, I just love what you're doing. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. So yeah, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Even like something our coach was just saying, that like it lights him up to be there for us on a Saturday, making sure like we're all succeeding. That's exactly how I feel about it, because I've had my periods where I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I'm existing, I'm working this job, but I know I'm a hollow shell of a man right now. And like, I feel like people like you, when you know what your purpose is, coming from a musician standpoint, I loved being on stage with a microphone, telling people what my songs were about, telling them it's about a situation, but like, there is always great opportunities and success and fate to be found in the most difficult moments. When people lose their sense of that, and like they stay silent and they don't open up, it's the segue to destruction and ultimately people taking their lives. I saw something on X, formerly Twitter, about 3 months ago. These men are following. They retweeted the death of a 35-year-old porn star. And these are men who, like, they don't engage in it. They know how destructive it is, but they've said in that tweet, it's disgusting that it's come to this. Rest in peace, whoever the woman was. And, so men and women are definitely affected by this. And it's sad because, we live in a world where, like, inflation is running high and we need money to thrive and live and to achieve our goals. But like, for the men who are giving that away to women on OnlyFans, and women who are just kind of like using like their sexual energy to, get this money from men, it's sad. It's really, really sad. There definitely needs to be some kind of reversal here, because where else are they going to get it from? You know what I mean? Especially for the younger generation of kids who, young men who are going more into like predatory stages when they're going out and trying to find women. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of the reason why women don't feel safe going out anymore, because men are are trapped in like hunting mode in the wrong way, And it's really interesting because my last relationship, I knew her and I weren't going to last. She was someone who I've known for a long time, but I've grown in a way where I felt like I would be dimming my light to keep that relationship going. But she caught on to it. She caught on to it in the sense that, and she said this in a text message, it feels like you're setting me up to let me go. And when she sent that message, I'm like, people are a lot more intelligent than they think they are and that we assume. And women can definitely read that on the face and the energy of the men if they come up to them, if they have this problem. If they're not coming from a place of authenticity and authentic like love, like they'll be able to detect that. And if they get past their gate and they actually date for a few months, like it'll come out at some point.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because I was married to a man that struggled, and I honestly I feel sad for him, and I still care about him, and I want only nothing what's best for my former husband. But because that's a struggle of his, like I was married to it, I know how it feels, and so as I've dipped my toe into the dating world, I pick up on it really quick. I pick up on the really small cues of someone has a sexual. And addiction, maybe addiction is even too strong of a word, but that they're just a bit messed up. And I catch on to it really quick now because I lived it for so long. Like it's the sadness in it. And I just feel like the more we can expose this, the more we can just help and change our world, And I understand, people needing to do it for money and different things. And I know you're probably not as religious as I am, and that's all cool. But I think of a story in the Bible. There's a Bible story, and there was a prostitute, and she was behind Jesus. And then there was the religious leaders, the church leaders, who were basically coming and trying to condemn this woman for her prostitute lifestyle. And Jesus said to those religious leaders, "Let he who has no sin cast the first stone." And what Jesus was doing was he was actually protecting this woman. He was standing up for her. He was like, I picture it, he was writing in the sand, but I picture it as he was standing up. And I just feel like there's the love and the grace and the forgiveness and we need to stop shaming people over this. And we need to start just loving and being caring and exposing it and for what it is. And just, instead of shame and guilt, let's just love and be kind and have grace. That poor woman who felt that her only way out was to commit suicide. Like, I can't even imagine the loneliness that woman was feeling. It's sad. And again, I'm coming at it from a place of compassion. Like, I love it if you can recognize it as a human being and help yourself and help others and help your relationships.
Yeah, because she must have felt like, she won't be able to pair a bond with anyone. And, I've heard that, I've heard that only women will have that problem, but I definitely think men can have that problem too. If men have a high enough body count, like I can definitely picture them not being able to, like actually pair up with a woman because they have so much like experience with previous people and they don't really realize the degree of the pain they've been in. And yeah, it's the silence around this topic that's killing people in one way or another, and I've lived and I've experienced enough amazing things in my life that like I really do believe that everyone deserves to like experience a wonderful, abundant life. We all do. And when we live in a world that has put a cap on our intelligence and put a cap on what we can actually do. And now we're all finding out these secrets of the things that hinder us and keep us blocked. And pornography is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's just it. And just coming at it with grace and compassion. Like, I just keep coming around to that grace and compassion and love, grace and compassion and love. And it's not a dirty little secret. Like I will admit on here that I've seen pornography. Like, I don't have an addiction to it, but I've seen it, right? Like, and there's probably not even a person out there that, like, with the accessibility to a telephone, like it's all right there. It's so accessible. And I think too, if someone's had a porn addiction or a sex addiction or whatever it is, to realize it is an addiction and you might slip up and you might fall again, but you pick yourself up and you just continue on. And that's a normal thing too, like, yeah, we're none of us, not one of us is perfect, like myself included. None of us are perfect.
And especially because porn is free. Like, you know what they say, like, what is it? Like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, because they're free, that means you are the product. You know what I mean? It's the exact same thing why porn isn't blocked. They have like a button that says if you're 18 or older, okay, enter, but the heck is that? You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah, and it is so accessible, you know. Yeah, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that.
no, it's okay. Well, you know what? Even like the energy I can feel and sense coming from you, Don. You know, like I can tell you're someone who's working towards something, who has their priorities right, and exactly how you say like you can pick it up on men, because you'll be able to recognize if they have their life in order or not, or if they're vibrant and if they're alive, they have ambition and goals, that they're doing good, and what that projects, it's uncanny. You know what I mean? Like when you can tell you're around your kind of people, you want to be more around your kind of people. But people who are not in control or they don't have a disciplined mind, you'll trace back and follow the root cause of those things, and you'll know you don't want to be around certain people.
And that, sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, I'm good. That was it.
That goes back to the root of the cause, right? Like there is reasons why men and women get into porn. There is reasons why people fill that hole, fill that void, you know, fill that, you know, thing in their body that they're almost missing. And it might be a lack of love for themselves, but as a person can work on themselves, look at themselves objectively. Like I will say it, I am not perfect, but I'm trying to work towards being a better version of myself so that I can be a better partner to someone one day, right? Like I'm trying to do me to the best of my ability so that I have more to give to someone else. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for in a potential partner as well, is someone who wants to put in the effort, wants to put in the work, wants to take responsibility for their actions and for their things, and wants to get to the root causes. I mean, all of us have shit, myself included, right? You have shit, they have shit, they have shit. We've all got these things and these traumas and these experiences from our childhood and from all those different, you know, the way we were raised or things that have happened to us. Mm-hmm. And we're all just trying to navigate this world in the best way we can. And so what I found is when I'm working on myself, when I've gone to counseling and I've tried to figure out my shit, it just makes me a healthier person, and it makes me want a healthier person as well. It's why I'm still single 6 years later. I'm not an ugly woman. I have a whole lot to give, but I'm waiting for the right relationship.
And you're not going to settle until you get it.
No, I'm not. Like, I know what I want, and I'm content on my own, and I'm fine on my own. And when the right person with the right qualities and the right, you know, chemistry and all the things, all of what I'm looking for in a man, and I want a real man. I want a strong man. I'm a very strong woman. I want a very strong man. When that man comes around, and when he pursues me, and when he courts me, and when we become, you know, when we get into a relationship, I look forward to my next relationship because it will be that much stronger and that much better. And I will go forward from my hurt and my pain of my past and just turn it into something good for the next 40 years of my life.
I love that for you. That's amazing.
Thank you. Sorry, I went on a little tangent thing, but yeah, like that's just, yeah, it's where I'm at with life and relationship and love and my history and where I want to go.
No, that's cool.
Do you have another thought, or should we go to a question?
No, I'm like, this is the cool thing, Don, because it's like, if this is a topic I understand, I can go into so many just directions with it. And I think that's really cool when, like, I'm not fixated on one thing, but like, I know how to, like, I know how this has affected me and everything. And ultimately, my goal with this, aside from helping men like realign with their true life path, is to help rid themselves from the enslavement of technology. You know, when I got my first cell phone when it was like 2008, and that was a flip phone. You know, then when I got my smartphone, I was like a Samsung Galaxy, and I know how many hours I spent on that thing. Because like, ooh, new phone, I could do X, Y, and Z with all these things. You know what I mean? And then when you don't know how to put that down, when it becomes such a habit, like, I mean, unless people are they're using their phones for networking, building a business, that's different. But if you're bored and you find yourself doom scrolling, then man, like, it's like I've spent, like, I think the most I've ever doom scrolled, I actually remember a time. It's been like 3 hours. And I have a theory about why I spent so much time on the phone, not just like looking at, animal videos and people fighting videos, whatever. But I have a theory that like, because, I used to use my phone, I used to watch porn on my phone. I think my body has developed the sensation of I feel good being on my phone because of how many times, and it's created like codes, and it's like a farm, it's planted like seeds in my body of like, you feel good being on your phone, you feel good doom scrolling, you don't know why, but you can do it for hours. And I definitely think that is a big part of like why my body feels like that. Does that make sense?
Well, and I'm just thinking too, just as you're saying that, like, I will admit I had a phone addiction, right? Like, and I think it's the dopamine. You get into these little reels and you're watching them and it feeds you a little bit and whatever. Like, I do have, in some ways, my children would attest to this, that I have a phone addiction, and I would say it's for business, and I have used that line, it's for business, but there's times where I'm not necessarily doing business. I'm just watching little TikTok videos or little Instagram videos, and, like, that's not healthy either. And I think what we need to do is we need to talk about that. We all have it. I have a phone addiction. Someone else might have a porn addiction. Someone else might have an alcoholism addiction. And we need to not label it as you have that, but I don't have that. You have that. And just, start realizing that, from, again, I'm using a biblical thing, like from a sin perspective, or from a thing like that kind of perspective, it's all fine. Like, everyone has their own shit. Everyone has their own whatever it is. And so, yeah, like, we just need to realize it's not a shameful, horrible, awful thing. We're just all the same. All our blood runs red. All of us have our things, and all of us need to, deal with it however we need to deal with it. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, because we all ultimately end up at the same destination, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I mean, we all ascend. We all either, go to heaven, reincarnate. We all find that eternal bliss at some point. I think, especially with where I am in my life path, is I want to do my best to make this world better before I leave it. And this is definitely one thing, a big, huge thing that I know is going to make a huge difference. Just the impact that I've been having since making these videos, of having people unexpectedly reach out to me. People I know, too, reaching out to me saying, dude, nobody's talking about this stuff. Like, you got balls talking about this stuff. So it's a really good feeling.
And that's why you're here. That's why I wanted to talk to you, is because it's bigger. And just because I know your heart, you want to help people. You genuinely want to help people. Now, I just want to ask just a couple of little tips and tricks. What would you say if there's a man or woman listening right now? What are some just short little tips and tricks to even just get them started? What would you just say to someone? Let's say I came to you today and I said, I really struggle with porn. It's really controlling my life. I'm in a parking lot in the middle of the day. I just don't even know what to do. It's the shameful secret that I'm holding. What would you say to me?
I would say to really just go back into your memories and understand for yourself, like, what were the instances when you did watch it? Like, were you missing someone from a past relationship? Did you stumble on porn because you were bored once, and now that's kind of like sets you off in a track where you feel like you need to watch it when you're bored? Like, feel like when we understand our pain points and understand the reasons why we do certain things, we can rewire our minds from there. And just want to let you know that whatever pain you're trying to escape from or run away from, like, it does not define you. It does not define, you may think you need this to help you get some sense of relief or connection to life, but it's quite literally doing the opposite. Whatever you are running away from or you need healing from, you need to feel it to fully heal it. And some things are just as simple as opening up and having a conversation about it, because it's the silence that kills. And the higher part of you respects you enough to keep going with this, and is telling you that, like, who you want to be is so dependent on you not doing this anymore.
I am just hearing your words and just loving them, because I can just hear your compassion and your care for another human being in all of this. I don't know. I can't say it enough. I'm sorry. I can't say it enough. It is a huge problem in society, and I can't sing your praises because you want to help people with this addiction, with this problem, with this, shame thing. And with, I love it. Your words just washed over me. And yeah, I would highly recommend, if any of my listeners are struggling, reach out to VJ. So any thoughts here? We're just in the last few minutes of our recording here. So what's your final thought?
My final thoughts are, I feel like we're all here to live the lives that we've always known that we're capable of living. We all have a story to tell, and it's just figuring out how we want to tell that story. And I feel like a big part of that for me is definitely leading people to the promised land in their own heart, soul, mind space. You know, when we care enough to discipline ourselves to not engage in the things that like send us on a detour, you know, when you come up to a detour and you go around and then you go back to your path, there definitely is a way to stay on your path. But like, you know, especially with porn, like how long have you detoured for? Some people have been on that detour for like 5, 6, 7 years, but there definitely is a way to realign yourself to your true life path. And we all have it. Like, even as when I've been in my darkest of times, I've always felt connected to the meaning of my life. I've always felt connected to what my purpose really is. It may have been covered by a lot of debris, but I'm on that path again. And I would like everyone to know that hold on to your faith, whatever that means to you. Like, you are here for a reason, you matter, and this world is a significantly better place because you're in it, listening to this conversation and co-creating with us. You know, it's a miracle and a blessing to be alive and experiencing what this life is. And I want everyone to never lose sight of that, and just want everyone to know that there's still faith, there's still hope for you. Just reach out, and we're all here to help.
Absolutely. And healed people can help heal others, and hurt people hurt others. And I just love that you are here to serve and help someone. And it's really why I recorded this podcast as well, is because of my journey and my hurt and my pain. And I just really want to help others. And I really want to help other married couples or couples or people and relationships heal as well. And so that's why I'm sitting here, is because I want to see victory over this in society, in life, and in human beings. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate your time. Now, if any of our listeners are listening, how can they find you? Where can we find you?
So you can find me on, where I'm mostly promoting this is on my Instagram page. You can find it at, so it's spelled VJ Junior Maharaj, VIJAYJRMAHARAJ. That's mostly where I can be reached. That's where I'm doing a lot of my promoting, and, you know, posting videos, educating people on this. So you can find me there. And I look forward to working with people and working with anybody who is struggling with this. And Donna, I'd just like to acknowledge you for being a warrior of a woman and leading this conversation. And God bless you. And thank you very much for, again, putting this topic on my lap and giving me this idea, because it's giving me a sense of purpose I didn't think I would ever like hold in my hands. You know what I mean? So thank you very much. And thank you very much for speaking on behalf of women everywhere who have dealt with what you're dealing with and what you're moving through and showing strength over. So thank you for having me on the podcast. I was saving this. This is my first official podcast ever.
I love it. So thank you. I love it that I get the honor of having you on as a guest on my podcast, and it's your very first one. So yeah, thank you. I look forward to hearing your podcast one day when you get one going. So are you going to get one going?
And when I do, I'm having you on. Absolutely, for sure.
I love it. It goes both ways. So perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Sounds good, Don. Thank you for having me.